All right. Fantastic. Everybody, we are waiting here for a few more minutes for people to join our Immigration Live Q&A. Hope you guys are having a good day so far. Getting ready for Thanksgiving. I'm going to share as well.
Yeah, while some people load up here, you can just enjoy our intro music, Dark Magic, sung by Sammy Gardner, Sami, last name Gardner, just like Gardner Mendoza. You can check her out on Spotify.
That is our daughter.
It's her daughter. How's
All right.
everyone doing out there tonight?
I'm going to share this to my personal Facebook page. And guys, if you're out there and you think that our immigration Q&A can help others, please share. And we're going to be starting here in just a minute or so. This is a great song. Great vibes. This is my favorite part.
Mm-hmm.
We're very proud of our daughter, as you can see.
All right, we got some people coming in here. All right, let's get this party started for real. How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to our live stream. My name is John Gardner. This is my wife and law partner, Radlin Mendoza.
Hey, guys.
And we are the immigration law firm Gardner and Mendoza. We join you every Wednesday night from 8 o'clock until 9 o'clock. And we're on Facebook Live here. We're also on TikTok. Hello, everybody out there on TikTok and on YouTube. And we like to give you immigration updates, something that we started back in 2020 when COVID was going on. I'm on once a week, just giving all the updates on all the different orders that were coming out, restrictions in various states and federal restrictions. Grew out of that and became just a general immigration information hour and Q&A. So if you have any questions, please get them posted. We would love to answer them for you. I do want to tell you that what we do here is for entertainment and educational and informational purposes only. It is not legal advice. Okay, that's our disclaimer, is required by the Virginia State Bar and every bar in the country. And there's a reason for it. It's not just to be stingy with the information, but these questions that we get here, we're getting limited information. We don't know your whole history. We can't do a deep dive or a FOIA request to find out more about what's going on with your case or your situation. So basically, we're answering a question, based on very little information. We're looking for patterns. Most of them are questions that we've seen many, many times. They often repeat. And so we're pretty well prepared for them. But I just want to make sure that you don't misconstrue what we do here as legal advice. It is not legal advice. Okay, with that, some updates. One real quick update. This isn't really a major thing. We've been talking about it for a while. I just want to remind anyone who doesn't already know that you cannot file your case and pay your filing fees with a paper check anymore. You have to use a form.
Or money order.
All right. Or a money order. Yeah, you can't use those things anymore. No more paper. You have to file a G1450 or with both those. I just want to remind everyone, if you're using a credit card, make sure that your card has sufficient available credit on it so that the credit card does not get declined. Because if it does, your case is coming back. It will not be processed. Make sure that your credit card company is made aware that this charge will be coming through, because it's going to be outside of your normal spending. It could trigger a fraud alert on your credit card and shut it down. And by the time you know about it, it's too late. Trust me, USCIS is not going to spend all day rerunning your card or calling you to see what's wrong with the card number.
They're not going to call you.
If it doesn't go through,
all.
It's done.
Yeah.
Okay.
It gets rejected.
It gets rejected. Same with the bank. If you have an ACH debit that you want to do from your bank account, great. That's the G1650. Same thing. Make sure there are no debit blocks on your account, and make sure that your bank knows that this large charge is going to be coming through, this large debit is going to be coming through your account, and that it is authorized. So I would, credit card company or your bank, whichever you're using, I would absolutely reach out to them before you do your filing, just to make sure that nothing goes wrong with it. All right.
Yeah, that's in we have had experience with filing applications with our clients' credit card, because the G1650 is new, which is ACH bank transfer, pulling from your bank. But USCIS has been taking credit cards. I don't know, probably for a couple of years now, and we had issues with our clients' credit cards because, again, as John mentioned, our clients may not have had enough credit limit when they ran the card. They may have gotten a fraud alert on their card and didn't see it, and then their card was rejected. Their case was rejected. And what happens is the case comes back to you, right? The case may come back to you quickly. It may come back to you slowly. With these rejections, they came back fairly quickly within a few weeks. That's still a few weeks time, right? And so it is extremely, extremely important, as John mentioned, to please make sure that you have contacted your credit card company, that you have the funds you have the credit, right, to run whatever it is, $3,005 on your credit card. And just make sure, they have to be separate, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Not 3,005. It is going to be a total of 3,005 if you're doing an adjustment of status case and an I-130 with a work permit and advanced parole. But just make sure you have the funds in there. I know it seems like a really silly thing for us to be telling you, but we actually stopped taking our clients' credit cards, and we said no more filing with your credit cards because it's just not working out, right? They were getting sent back to us, and we would have to refile it, put our clients' cases in jeopardy, and so we stopped taking our clients' credit cards and using it on the G1450. And so at our law firm right now, you pay us your filing fees, and we will use our bank account to pay your filing fees. And it's a service that we provide, and it's really, again, because of the fact that sometimes we don't all remember to inform. So I know we're kind of beating this to death a little bit, but it's a really, really super important update, because any delay can be harmful to your case.
Yeah, you don't want to. I mean, you've done so much. You've come so far, and you don't want the whole thing to get rejected at the very last minute because of just a real minor mistake. And so just be super careful. And I mean, obviously it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. Make sure you double, triple, quadruple check the numbers when you're putting them all in there on the
Absolutely.
form. Make sure the credit card, the expiration date, the code, all those things. Just make sure that you're getting everything right. Proofread it. Maybe get one other person to put eyes on it. Make sure that there are no mistakes before you send it out. And rather than, we're taking this risk to zero with our clients because we're collecting the fees up front from them. And then we are filing these and having the debit come from a designated account that we have that is strictly for these filing fees. And so we have made sure all the numbers are correct. Our bank knows exactly what's happening because they're processing these every day. So, okay.
All right, let's go to our first question.
Let's grab some questions here.
I think there was one at the very beginning, and
yep. Let's get to the beginning of our TikTok here and see who's got the first question of the night. I saw
remember last week or 2 weeks ago. So, Mr. Robot Slater, thank you for I think it was a heart or the number one gifter badge. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And you are very welcome. It is our pleasure to come here and share information. And when John and I are talking here and we're answering questions, this should be for everyone who's listening. It's an invitation for you all to call our law firm for us to help you. Okay. Or if you want to go to someone local, and you don't have to go to someone local, we do virtual appointments. We represent people from all around the world and in all 50 states. But it's an invitation for you to make an appointment. And if you have a question on TikTok, if you have a question on Facebook, and you're on other immigration lawyers' lives, that is a sign to you that you need to call a professional, an immigration attorney. It's just the initial inquiry, and for you to think, hey, you know what? I've got this question. They answer the question, but really should just become lawyers' lives in solving my immigration case this way. So, all right, let's before I get into 10 minutes of like lecturing.
Bradlin's right. Give us a call, and at the very least, let our intake team screen your situation, and see what your options are. And if you depending on how that goes, you can make a decision on what you want to do. Our office is in Virginia Beach, Virginia, which is on the East Coast of the United States, but we do have clients all over the world, all over the country. We do everything virtually. So, and if you don't want to work with us for whatever reason, that's your choice, of course. But please reach out to a professional in your area if that's what you want to do, and make sure that it's somebody who really knows immigration law, not somebody who has immigration listed as one of the 10 practice areas that they do. Okay, find a dedicated immigration attorney, because it's really complicated body of law, and it's really, really, really easy to make mistakes. And one of the big problems with immigration law compared to some other areas of law is that the mistakes are really costly. I mean, really costly. So they're fatal. They can be fatal to your case. So be careful. The old carpenter's motto, you want to measure twice and cut once. Well, you want to consult with a professional immigration attorney before you file anything. Okay. With all that said, the first question that came up here was user 47, several numbers, please help. Can I marry my undocumented boyfriend now?
So, user 473, that gifter, my document. This is an immigration question on immigration lawyers Q&A. So this question probably has to do more with immigration than with the logistics of getting married, right? So there are two.
Obviously, you can get married, but Radlin's right.
Right. So wherever you are, wherever you're located, let's go with the easy, right? Wherever you're located, you would have to go to your clerk's office, most likely the courthouse, and find out what are the requirements for you to get married. And your question goes to, I think the issue is, my boyfriend is undocumented, meaning he came into the United States without permission, right? And a visa, or maybe he came into the United States and he overstayed his visa. So both situations, you are out of status, you are undocumented. And you would go to your clerk's office and say, hey, what are the requirements for us to get married? Here in Virginia Beach, it's fairly straightforward. You need some form of ID. Typically, you need to complete a marriage application. In our city, there is no blood test, right? You don't have to have all the documentation. It's extremely easy to get married in many. It's probably really easy to get married. I think it should be harder to get married, just as on a personal note, and easier to get a divorce. But that's just not the way it is. You're free to get married, and you need to find out what requirements are. Just logistics. Your friend probably needs some form, and if he has a passport in this country, usually is sufficient. I think the other part of your question is, should I get married? Right?
Yeah. If I do this.
Right. And so that really depends. Your boyfriend is undocumented. Let's assume for a second that he entered the United States without permission. What people call illegally. I don't use that word. I don't think illegal. they can engage in illegal activities. But let's just say that he came into the United States without permission, without a passport, without a visa. He crossed the border. Okay. And let's also assume that you are a US citizen. Now, I think that a lot of people out there think, oh, this person who's undocumented, just let them marry a US citizen and it's fine. You're good to go. But that's not really the case. There is a lot of analysis that needs to be done to see whether your boyfriend is eligible to adjust status in the United States, having to leave the United States. Is he eligible? If he's not eligible for adjustment of status, eligible for the provisional waiver case, which is a very long road to lawful permanent residency, but it is a road to lawful permanent residency nevertheless. Okay. Now, so we would have to do an analysis. What if your boyfriend came in with a tourist visa and he overstayed, so he is undocumented because he's overstayed, and you are a US citizen? That's a little bit more straightforward in the sense that he can typically apply for adjustment of status here in the United States, and he would not have to leave the United States and trigger a bar and require a waiver for that bar. So there's a lot. This is a very straightforward question, but is not a simple answer. And it really goes to the point of how we started this call, which was, hey guys, if you're asking a question on immigration Q&A TikTok to us, then that means you got to pick up the phone and also call us for the consultation. So we charge $295 for a consultation. We're unfortunately, we can't help everyone, right? Because sometimes the facts are so that we would recommend that you not file anything at this point in time, because of maybe your boyfriend entered the United States multiple times unlawfully and without permission, and he stayed here for over a year, and so an aggregate period of over a year, and he might not even be eligible for provisional waiver case, because if he goes, he might be subject to the permanent bar. So we do an analysis. I mean, some of the questions we ask, have you ever been in the U.S. military? You, the petitioner, the spouse, has your boyfriend ever been the victim of a crime? And we ask these questions to see what other remedies there are if he's not eligible to get his permanent residency through marriage to you. Again, I'm presuming you are a U.S. citizen, which that may or may not be true. But really, really great question.
Yeah, you really should pick up the phone and call us. And just to be clear, the $295 consultation fee is if you call our office. It's not $295 to call our office and talk to somebody. It's a consultation with one of our attorneys. If our intake team decides based on their initial intake with you that there may be something that we can do, then you pay the $295 to have a consultation with one of our attorneys to really get into the matter more. All right.
Okay. Awesome. Great question.
Yeah, great question. Okay. Now we're going to get to Mr. Robot Slater, who is the number one gifter. Denied N-400 in 2013, misrepresentation. If I reapply, fraud will be discovered. I-601 possible or 237 IAH. Yeah.
So your N-400 was denied in 2013 for misrepresentation. You're a lawful permanent resident, right? So we can presume that you are a lawful permanent resident because you applied for U.S. citizenship 12 years ago. And I think that, it depends on what the misrepresentation was and whether it permanently bars you from applying for U.S. citizenship. But that was in 2013. So you're outside of your good moral character period from which you should be able to apply, depending on what the misrepresentation was. So you're talking about a waiver for the misrepresentation, but I mean, I'm presuming that you are a U.S. citizen. I mean, sorry, a permanent resident. So why would you need a waiver Those are waivers in order to get lawful permanent residency. So, Mr. Robot Slater, you should give us a call.
Okay, if the previous person should give us a call, you should absolutely give us a call, because we really would need to find out exactly what happened there.
Yeah.
To figure out what the way forward is for you.
And again, this is not legal advice for anyone who may have similar facts. This is not legal advice. This is information. And again, it's the very first inquiry and should make you go, I should call them, right? I should call them and make an appointment and see, can we move forward with US citizenship right now? Just because you all previously got denied for US citizenship, maybe it was misrepresentation, maybe it was you had a crime within the 5 years, within the 3 years, within the 1 year. Maybe you didn't pay your child support. Maybe you were ineligible because you were outside of the United States for too long. That was then, this is now. You need to have another analysis of your case. So anyway, Susanna, thank you for that, Suzanne.
Yeah, maybe you had
thanks for the rose.
Maybe you had a criminal charge that you got dismissed a year later after you did some counseling or something, and in your mind it was not a conviction and didn't mean anything, and so you said that you didn't have any criminal record at all, and that was viewed as a misrepresentation, because in fact you had been arrested and had been charged, but ultimately was just you didn't have any criminal record. So it really just depends on the situation. I fully anticipate you will be calling our office tomorrow morning.
757-649. You guys on TikTok, you guys can also go to and messages will get to you. Someone asked, can I ask a question? Yes, that is why we are here. Ask away.
Okay, so we don't have any questions here on Facebook Live, which is pretty typical. In the old days, by the way, back in 2020, 2021, we had a lot of questions on Facebook Live, but it looks like everybody's been switching over to TikTok because that's where all the questions come from now. You better take note of that, Mark. Mark, you better be careful, buddy.
Mark is trying really hard.
Mark is very nervous about what's happening right now. There's nothing here and everything's on TikTok. Okay, Babu wants to know, can a wet reckless driving conviction in California without an accident make a green card holder inadmissible?
So this is a travel question, right? Is this, I don't know what the statute is for a wet. So basically what we would have to do is take a look at the language of a wet reckless driving. So for those of you who don't know, well, maybe you can explain what a wet reckless is.
Yeah, I don't know specifically in California. At least in Virginia, it's actually not even an actual reckless driving conviction where alcohol was involved, and so they charge it, or they may charge it as DUI, but ultimately the conviction is driving, but the penalty as you charged with a DUI, it gets reduced to reckless driving, but you still do the alcohol counseling classes, and maybe you still have some sort of a breathalyzer system in your car that you have to blow into to drive, and those kinds of things. And I truly similar It was a DUI. It was an alcohol-related charge.
Mhm.
You were convicted of reckless driving, but your penalty was all the things that you would do if you had a DUI. So having established that, the next question would be, what is the California statute, and how does that California statute compare to federal statute? Because there's also DUIs and reckless driving in federal court. Most of us don't think of it because when we think of reckless driving, we think of a DUI, we think of state court charges. When we think of federal charges, we think, oh, yeah, I mean, I wasn't indicted for, conspiracy to distribute cocaine. But in a place like Norfolk, Virginia, where we are in the Virginia Beach area, it's really routine because we have a lot of military bases around here. And if you're drunk driving on a military base, you're on federal property, your DUI case is going to go to federal court. So there actually are federal statutes for reckless driving and for DUIs. And so the analysis would have to be whether the state court California statute is similar enough to a federal criminal statute that would make you inadmissible under the federal statute. All right. So I know that's a lot of legal gobbledygook that probably doesn't sound like it's answering your question at all.
Travel pretty frequently is as a permanent resident is that you have to make sure, right, when you're traveling with this reckless with this reckless driving ticket, um, you have to make sure that your fines are paid, right? You have done all the things that the judge has asked you to do, whether it's taking a driving safety course, a DUI driving safety course, you've paid all your fines, maybe you got community service. You have to make sure that when you're traveling, and this is for everyone, not just this person who's asking about a wet reckless. It's about if you have a theft charge, if you have an assault and battery charge and conviction, you need to carry all of that paperwork with you when you're traveling back into the United States in the event that something pops up on CBP's records and it's like, hey, this person didn't pay the fine, or this person, there's still a warrant out for this person's arrest. I mean, you don't know, you never know what's going to pop up. But again, if you asked whether a reckless driving ticket that was reduced from a DUI to a reckless driving ticket, like it is here in Virginia. In Virginia, that does not make you inadmissible to come back into the United States or inadmissible to get lawful permanent residency. I will say, though, that things are changing very quickly. And I have read that they're going to be considering all these other things. I mean, they're going to have to make a law change to do that. But just be careful. And if you would like us to take a look at that and give you a definitive answer on this, give us a call.
If assuming that assuming it's not more than what the reckless driving conviction, that
Yeah.
that it was a very reduced to driving, you did those things. You the fact we really we really don't know exactly what happened in your case. It landed on wet reckless driving, but we don't know what the facts were of the case that brought it there. And I'm, always cautious in criminal cases when we don't know the exact facts. But yeah, I agree with Radlin 100%. If it's just straightforward, then you should be fine, but I wouldn't travel until you call us. Don't do it.
Or call, yeah. As a permanent resident, right? Yeah, call your immigration attorney.
Or call your immigration attorney, yeah.
I know you had one. I don't know if you had one or not. All right. But thank you for the rose. Appreciate that.
Yeah. And be careful. It won't be an inadmissibility problem, but you may have a problem getting into Canada. Okay. Susan Baca 27 wants to know, judge denied my husband's 42B. Can he still ask for voluntary departure now?
Susan Baca, we do not do removal work. So unfortunately, I cannot answer this question for you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we do family immigration, we do business immigration, but we do not do removal work. That is one area of immigration that we do not practice.
Right.
Although if you have questions about that or you're looking for an attorney, you can still give us a call because we do work with other attorneys that we know and that we trust, and we know that they do a good job. And so if that's the issue that you have, we'd be happy to refer you to somebody who specializes in that area. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. And Dallas here on YouTube says, how are you two doing today? We are doing great. We missed you guys last week. We were on a little mini vacation with all three of our kids, and we had a really wonderful time. And two of our kids are adults, young adults, and they don't live here anymore. And it's really nice for all of us to get together.
Yeah, just a side note, for those of you who have adult children, you know how special this is when your whole clan all flies into one place or drives into a place, and you're all together for a while before you all head your separate directions again. All the time.
They are 22.
Yep.
Are
Okay. Representing folks who had an immigration case pending. That was the bulk of my practice. So a lot of what I did for many years was really represent people in criminal cases where my number one focus was actually their immigration case, making sure they got through the criminal matter in a way that kept their immigration case safe and didn't derail things on the immigration side. So I understand this happens a lot, especially with domestic violence. I think more than anything else, especially, I think one of the main reasons is it's one of the few charges where you can easily, you don't even have to have police involved. You can go and you can file a charge yourself, and at the magistrate, there's an arrest, and then a lot of times people show up in court. Usually they've made up, they've sobered up, and they don't want to pursue the charges. And so it just gets dropped. So I don't know if that's what happened here, because you said it's a domestic violence arrest, and then you said no charge was filed. So those two things can't technically go together. If there was an arrest and there had to have been a charge filed, I think what you mean is that it wasn't pursued, like you were arrested, but nothing ever happened with the case in court. My recommendation for you would be to have, as Radlin mentioned a bit ago, to have all the paperwork that's associated with that with you to show that you actually were never charged formally. And by formally, I mean you didn't go in front of a judge.
Yep.
And the case didn't go forward. It wasn't even dropped after your initial appearance. It was just a case that never even got off the ground other than the initial arrest. All right.
So are you saying it's as if the disposition says no charge filed? You're saying that there would be no court disposition if no charges were filed. That's what you're
Yes.
saying. Okay.
Right. Right.
Okay. That makes sense. So
I still don't love it. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't love traveling outside the U.S. with that going on. You know, I mean, I'm assuming you're not a U.S. citizen. Obviously, if you're a U.S. citizen,
but is the case done
this is
though?
not a problem.
Is it done, or is it just? It sounds like it's finished to me, right? Because no
right.
charges were filed.
That's correct.
What is the document that says that?
Well, you could just do a search in your court. You could ask the clerk to have a court record just showing that you have no charges in that court pending or that have ever been filed.
Yeah. So you were arrested, you were let go, nothing ever came of it because no charges were filed. You need to have proof of that. Of course, you have something that says no charges were filed. Maybe this is like a not a disposition from the court, but something from the police that says no charges were filed, or but you're right, it's not going to you're not going to have a disposition because the judge gives a disposition, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you may have gone to court. In Virginia, typically what happens is even once you get arrested, the case has to go in front of a judge, and typically that's when the case gets dropped. And the paperwork just shows that you were not, that the case didn't go forward. It's called a null pros here, meaning it was just dropped. There was no formal disposition. The case never went forward. You were arrested,
maybe that's what he has,
and the charge was dropped. If you have that paperwork, I would absolutely get a certified copy of that, showing that yes, you were arrested, but the charge was dropped. It never went forward.
Yes.
All right.
If that's the only thing that you have, then definitely get that documentation to show that, as John mentioned, there were no charges filed. You should be fine to travel back in. But you have to, everybody here, document. Don't just go and think everything's going to be okay because you've traveled before multiple times. You need to document everything.
Okay. And I don't know, this might be the same person. Somebody on Facebook. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have a lot of documents stating that nothing came of it from DA, never went to court. Okay. I don't know what state you're in. But yeah, I would keep the documentation with you. I would be careful though. One of the things to keep in mind is that, if you do, I'm assuming you're not a U.S. citizen again. If you do naturalize at some point, you are going to want to make sure that you don't try to hide that and claim that, you don't have any arrests or any record. Because in your mind, like the previous person, you're thinking that nothing came from it, so it didn't mean anything, because they will know that you were arrested. If you were arrested in process, then
They
is
definitely will.
That's in the system forever. All right. Okay.
Great questions, though.
Great question. And I just, sorry, I don't want to go too much more with this, but these questions, this is an example again where you really should consult with a professional, because these cases get really, really complicated because there's this odd intersection. Immigration law is federal law, criminal law for the most part. On these kind of things is typically people have state court charges, state court convictions, and there's this odd intersection between state and federal law, and we have to really be careful with what we do with it, because every state has a different criminal code. So what happened in California may not even be a crime in New York, and vice versa, so on
Yeah.
and so forth. So, okay, moving on. Cisco wants to know, I went to my interview 30 days ago and then received a letter 2 weeks later saying it was canceled.
So I'm gonna just say that that was probably a glitch in the system. So if I'm understanding this question correctly, you went to an interview and then they said that it was canceled. You got mail. And that happens sometimes. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. And hopefully soon you'll get an approval.
Okay. Let's see, anything else down here?
This question here.
I'm
Does the asylee
supposed to pay for their green card adjustment status application, or it's free?
So yes, you do need to pay for the green card application once you have been granted asylum, and then after you've waited and you're now eligible to apply for adjustment of status, you will have to pay the I-485 adjustment of status application. You may be eligible for a fee waiver, and if you are, you may not have to file the application filing fee. A great question.
Okay. Well, we're getting a lot of travel questions and criminal questions. Malix wants to know, can a green card holder get citizenship with a single misdemeanor for shoplifting?
Can you go back to that? I have to, for some reason, I have to look at it. John reads the question, and then I read the question again.
Yeah, no. I
Just
completely get it.
Mm-hmm. So it really depends. One of the requirements when you are applying for U.S. citizenship is that you are a person of good moral character from 5 years to present, right? From the past 5 years to present. If you got your permanent residency through U.S. citizen spouse, and you've been married to that spouse for 3 years, and you've been living with that spouse for 3 years, then it's just 3 years of good moral character prior to filing for U.S. citizenship. So it's 5 or 3. So number one question that I would have is, when did your misdemeanor occur? Did it happen recently? If it happened within that 5-year or 3-year good moral character period, you may not be eligible to apply for U.S. citizenship. However, there is something called the petty offense exception that if your conviction, if you were convicted of shoplifting and you received less than a 6-month sentence, and the maximum sentence for your type of case, and it's misdemeanor, is not more than 12, then you may fall under the petty offense exception and be able to file within that period of time, inside of that period of time. So it really just depends. And shoplifting is one of those things. You're a permanent resident. Shoplifting, theft, those types of crimes fall under crime of moral turpitude. Okay, is it Malix? So Malix, this is, and everyone else who's listening, this is especially dangerous when you're traveling outside of the United States. So you have to be really careful with these types of convictions. And Malix, if you can apply for U.S. citizenship because it falls outside of the good moral character period, or you may fall under the petty offense exception, absolutely file for citizenship, right? If you don't have some crazy record, and because right now it's tougher to get citizenship. They're doing field visits, and they're visiting neighbors and doing those types of things, and they want to see that you're a good moral character, not just because you don't have a criminal record, but because you've done some things in the community, you go to church, whatever. So, but my point is that these little things can be cured by filing for US citizenship and naturalizing and becoming a US citizen. So you may have a you know a misdemeanor for shoplifting, and could make you inadmissible depending on the time and the circumstance and how much active jail time or suspended jail time you got. But and it makes you ineligible to come back into the United States after a short travel, right? But you may be able to still apply for US citizenship. So a lot of people will go around with the fear of, oh my gosh, you know what? I have this type of conviction. I'm not eligible to apply for US citizenship. But then they've traveled. We've seen this in the news, right? They travel outside the United States and then they're arrested upon entry because they're inadmissible because of the same conviction that had you actually naturalized, it would have cured it. So you may be able to get citizenship, Alex. You need to call us. Love these types of cases.
Yeah, and just a extra note, when we're talking about the jail time, if you're analyzing your case or you're talking to a criminal defense lawyer in your case, you really want your defense lawyer to be consulting with an immigration attorney, because these jail times in many of these cases matter. And for immigration purposes, an active jail sentence is the same as a suspended jail sentence. So if you got 12 months of jail and all of it was suspended, and you're thinking, oh, well, I don't have to worry about the 6 months because I had got 12 months, but it was all suspended. A 12-month suspended jail sentence is viewed as 12 months of jail for immigration purposes. All right. So active time and suspended time are treated the same. Make sure your defense lawyer knows that. Okay. Not you, Malix, but just anyone. Butterfly wants to know if it's okay for citizenship. I'm on a tax payment arrangement. So you got some back taxes. Looks like a payment plan has now been entered into.
Yeah.
To start getting those taxes paid. What's going to happen?
There's a good question. Butterfly. So if you've been following us and everyone here, citizenship is getting a little bit tougher. Now, this is something that if our clients had a tax arrangement and they had the documentation to show that they had an arrangement with the IRS and making their payments, it was fine. We would be able to explain that to the immigration officer, show the arrangement, and they would be fine with naturalizing our client, and our client would go on to swear in to become a U.S. citizen. But right now, it depends. It depends. I think this is going to be more of a, what do they say? They're taking a holistic approach to whether they're going to approve a person to become a U.S. citizen or not, right? U.S. citizenship is a privilege. Not everybody can be a U.S. citizen. Only the creme de la creme, the best people, can be U.S. citizens. And so that is what the messaging is right now. And so we would have to take a look at your whole case. Now, let's just say you're a stellar person, and what I think this administration and what USCIS and Department of Homeland Security is going to like to see, right? That you're a volunteer, that if they go into the field and talk to your neighbors love you, right? You go to church regularly. You are a stellar employee and you've been at your job for many years, And then you have this tax payment arrangement, and this is your only, quote unquote, maybe negative thing in your case. I think they may still naturalize you. They've been doing it, right? And John and I have been saying, look, this new holistic approach is new. It's fairly new. It's just been a couple of months. So immigration officers are human beings, right? They are going to be doing the same thing that they've been doing for the last 15 years and adjudicating an N-400 like they've been adjudicating for the last 15 years, because this is going to take a little bit of time to train people and just kind of get it baked into their system, right? So Butterfly, give us a call. My point is, give us a call and let us analyze your case and see whether you are eligible to apply for U.S. citizenship. Now, someone like Butterfly and a bunch of you out there too, you might be saying, I am not doing that. I'm going to wait. I am going to wait until this administration is done, and then I will apply for U.S. citizenship. But we ask you the question. We know, what is it? The devil that you know is the devil. What is the devil that you don't know? We know what's happening now with U.S. citizenship. We know it's probably going to change. It's probably going to even get harder. The test might get harder. They just added 26 additional questions to the test. We've been talking about this holistic approach for a couple of months now. Maybe in the future, it's going to be a much more stringent. We don't know. So for those of you out there who, again, may have something small like this, a tax payment arrangement, a shoplifting conviction, a domestic violence arrest that did not lead to a charge or a conviction, you might be sitting on the sidelines of U.S. citizenship, but find out, right? Let us tell you whether you should apply for U.S. citizenship or not. Let us tell you to move forward with your case or not.
Absolutely. And Butterfly, I'd be curious to know, what the arrangement is, how much it is, and whether you have been making the payments. If you have a tax payment plan, I think it's going to benefit you and inure to your benefit in the case generally. If you have a track record of then making the payments, oh yeah, I'm on a tax arrangement, I have to pay X amount every month. And oh, by the way, I've been making those payments for the last 14 months and I haven't missed any of them. That's going to be a very positive
very good
thing
point.
for you.
Very good point.
Okay. C says, please, can you check others' questions as well? Sure, C. We will move on to them now.
All right.
Gurpreet Singh wants to know, can we apply citizens before 5 years? I have next year, October, my green card done 5 years. So
good job. Okay. Yeah.
Sounds like, so you've been, your green card, you've been a permanent resident for 5 years and you want to know if you're eligible for citizenship?
Yeah. So you can apply 90 days early. So you can apply it 4 years and 9 months. They allow you to do that. I think that's the question. Can we apply for citizenship before the 5 years?
Next year, October.
Yeah, no, only 90 days early. Don't apply any sooner than the 90 days. If you apply sooner than the 90 days, then your case will get rejected. And maybe they'll keep your money. They usually don't, but who knows?
All right. So in early summer, this summer, or even sooner, let's say this spring, you call us and we will start getting everything ready so that at the 90-day mark before your 5 years, we can file everything for you and you'll be good to go.
All right, we got a couple of questions here. Ramiro says, so is it harder to get a K-1 visa due to the political environment? I don't believe that it's harder to get a K-1 visa due to the political environment. No, I don't. I think that you have to make sure that, well, I don't think it's due to the political environment. I think that you have to make sure that all of your ducks are in order for every single application that you do. Now, again, maybe that makes it harder. I don't know. We don't file an application unless our ducks are in order, right?
This happens every Wednesday.
What's in order though? Like, what is in order?
I don't know. Ducks in order is fine.
You got to make sure.
What difference?
John's looking at me. He's like, "That's not the right thing."
No.
You have to make sure that your ducks are in a row, meaning that your case is prepared properly, right? You're meeting all the requirements. Your fiance does not have negative immigration history. Your fiance does not have a criminal record history. Your fiance, your fiance's history, and you as well. Like, if you have any type of domestic violence issues or anything that deals with violence or anything that deals with minor. I mean, you have to be very careful about these types of things. So I think that in a sense, okay, yes, it's going to be harder because, and I guess when I'm looking at a K1, when I'm looking at a marriage case, I'm looking at it in terms of what we do in order to prepare for a case and what we do in order to properly file a case. Yes, you have to be doing all of that, and even going over your application again with a fine-tooth comb, because we certainly don't want to make any careless mistakes. That's what you guys do. You guys make careless mistakes. Your immigration lawyer should not be making careless mistakes. And you definitely shouldn't be making careless mistakes, especially in this administration. So, Ramiro, I take back what I just said. Yes, things are tougher in this political environment. And it's more with the administration and just some of the harsh policies that are coming out of this administration. Again, could it trickle down to things like K1 adjustment of status here in the United States, marriage-based adjustment of status or family-based adjustment of status in the United States? Yeah, I mean, we are seeing some of it with the adjustment of status case here in the US. Haven't seen it specifically negatively impact K1s, but it's more of making sure that everything is done properly and correct the first time. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Great
to be
question.
clear, yeah, great question. I mean, immigration is open. I mean, we're filing things every day. So, I mean, but everything's being scrutinized a lot more and a lot more carefully and more stringently. And so, you just have to be aware of that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not afraid of that because we're crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's, and we don't file anything unless we know it's good to go. We're not afraid of that scrutiny, but you need to be aware of it because it is harder in the sense that things are being looked at and really, really being, just ultra scrutinized for errors. And so, the tiniest thing is going to cause a rejection. All right. Okay. We have a few more minutes here.
We have a couple more minutes. Let's go.
Yeah. So Ricky, for you too, says, I passed my citizenship test. It's been 2 months still, waiting on final decision. Any advice?
Yes, just be sorry, we had to do something there with you. So I would say just be patient. There's no final decision yet. I would be patient. There could be a reason. And they do have time to give you a decision. Now, if it's 120 days and you still don't have a decision, you actually are able to sue the government to make a decision on your case. And we can help with that. We've filed many lawsuits for non-decisions on naturalization cases. That's actually how we started filing those types of mandamus cases. So, but
it seems like a scary and unpleasant thing to do, to sue the government when the government's the one you're asking to benefit from. But we have
actually
done it.
Works.
We have done it many times with great success. So if it comes to that, then it comes to that. Okay. Jose here on Facebook says, how long does it take for an I-131?
Question.
I did. I'm sorry. Accept my apology on that one.
My friend is a green card holder from eviction 1997. Can't travel to our home country. Thanks. Okay, so Warwick, we talked about this. Travel questions are a little wild right now, but generally speaking, a DUI does not make a person inadmissible. It was from 1997. It's probably going to be tough to get the certified disposition if he doesn't have that. And that's the only thing that I would be concerned about, just is not having documentation to show that, okay, the DUI conviction, yes, convicted of DUI, but was it an aggravated DUI? That's one thing that I would ask. An aggravated DUI is a
Yeah.
completely different situation. But let's just say it was a basic DUI, got pulled over, didn't hurt anyone, didn't hit and run, no aggravated facts about this, then he probably is okay to travel. But again, he needs to take everything with a lot of caution, because this is going to pop up. He needs to be ready to answer questions about it, because he's not going to have a certified disposition, which is what we're asking all of our clients to do as lawful permanent residents. If they have any type of conviction, to get the paperwork to show that what happened to it, even if it was a conviction, what did he do? Did he pay his fines, etc.?
Yeah, just a little pro tip here. For many cases where you're trying to track down paperwork that's no longer available, your clerk's offices will issue you paperwork advising that they no longer have it. That's something you can actually get your clerk's office to a certified letter stating that the paperwork no longer exists in their files. That way you can prove that you don't have it because it's literally not available.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's take Jose here,
Yeah.
and then we'll finish with Mommy Pia Forever.
Okay. Jose is asking, how long does an I-131 take? So if we're filing an I-131 with an adjustment of status application, it's usually about 4 to 6 months. And it has been going faster too. So,
okay, Mommy Pia Forever, you're the last one up tonight. Can my mom, who's a green card holder, still come back here in the U.S. if she stayed a little over a year in the Philippines?
So I would be very careful with that. One question is, why did she overstay for a year in the Philippines? Was it a medical reason? The question is going to go to whether she abandoned her green card. And there are things that they look for. Was your mom working in the Philippines? And really, what is the reason why, and what are her ties here in the United States? Give us a call. We handle these types of cases.
Yep.
She may just go to the embassy and get a returning resident, depending on the facts of why she stayed so long in the Philippines. But be very careful for mom to travel. She overstayed a little bit by a year. That's better than a lot, right? It's better than 5 years out. But she still needs to be very, very careful when coming back into the United States, because they will presume that she has abandoned because she has been outside the United States for over a year, and they can actually strip her green card away from her. Well, they can pressure her to abandon her green card. They can actually, this is a very scary prospect, especially if you're for any mom, right? But especially for Filipino moms, but for any mom that, they could actually detain her. So give us a call before she travels, and don't wait too long, because the longer you wait, the worse it's going to be.
Okay, we are 4 minutes over the 1 hour mark, so we are gonna skedaddle out of here, to quote our old friend Mel from law school. And we will be back here next Wednesday, same time, same place. If you have questions, bring them, and we will absolutely try to get them answered. All right. We're going to go out with another song by Sammy Gardner.
Our daughter.
See It All My Way. Good night, everyone.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Did you say that already?
I did.
All right. All right.
Have a great rest of your week and a great weekend.
Take care. Bye-bye.